Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the One and Done Show, solo edition, covering the DK Main Slate for college basketball, tipping off at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I guess I'm your host. I'm a little lonely, so we're gonna try to rock this thing out. My name's Mike Holland. You can follow me on Twitter at MCHolland34, and I'm excited to get into this 12-game slate on DraftKings. It's a $15 entry, 2K to first on DraftKings. You also have some $33 entries. No seat today, and the slate's a little weird. We're going from 12 p.m. Eastern all the way up to 4:30 Eastern. So it is going to be a long day. Initially thought this slate was going to be probably an 8-gamer, but all of a sudden we are sitting here at only a few games. So in that late window. So interesting slate we're going to go through. Pricing overall, it's tight. We've got all the big boys on the slate. So not going to be rocking any mid-majors. So we hopefully should have all the news injury-wise before lock. So having said that, why don't we pull up our cash core 4 here that we're going to start with. We're going to give you guys our core 4 for both cash lineups and tournament lineups. So for cash core, we're going to have you lock in RJ Davis from North Carolina. He's 8.4K. Micah Adams-Woods, the guard from St. Bonaventure, at 6.7. Kanye Clary, the guard from Penn State, at 6.6K. And Kylan Boswell, the guard from Arizona, at 6.2. So with these guys, higher floors, going to have a ton of minutes. I mean, each one of these guys are probably going to play 38 minutes, maybe 40. So looking to get those guys in on your cash bills, double ups, things like that. For tournament core 4, looking for guys with a little more volatility but higher ceilings. So locking this in on this core 4 for tournaments, looking at Javon Quinterly at 7.1 from Memphis at guard. Tyson Walker, the guard from Michigan State, at 6.9 going against Baylor. Ryan Langborg from Northwestern, a guard at 6.5. And Bay Ndongo from Georgia Tech at 6.8K. So that is the tournament core for Quinterly, Walker, Langborg, and Ndongo. And then you're asking, where's the value? Well, we're going to have to wait on some injury news. We got some of it this morning, but we're waiting on some key pieces. We're looking at what's going to happen with Kansas and KJ Adams. He's got an illness right now. If he's not in, Parker Braun, Christian Braun's brother, who transferred in from Santa Clara over to Kansas, he is 3.4. I don't mind getting to him if KJ Adams is out. So be looking for that news. That game starts at 12:30 Eastern. And at 4 o'clock Eastern, St. Bonaventure's got some interesting news. Charles Pride, a little more unclear on what's going on with Charles Pride. He's been out with an ankle since early December. He's, obviously a usage monster. He would actually kind of hurt Mike Adams-Woods a little bit, at least for his ceiling. But he should still have a safe floor at Mike Adams-Woods. So if Charles Pride is out, I'm not sure, how early we're going to get that news. Would be nice to get it earlier than 5 minutes before lock. But you can take a look at Barry Evans. He is 3.4. He has been in the starting lineup for St. Bonaventure. He's played pretty well. He's, before, when Pride wasn't out, he was actually coming off the bench. So don't mind going there. So those are two of the guys I'm looking at. You can also look at a 4.4 guard, Moses Flowers, as well. He's probably going to get some more usage. He's already about that 20% clip from St. Bonaventure. And so looking at that, that will break down our core 4s. We're going to go game by game. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Looks like we got some people in the chat here. Aunt the Kid live before lock. Yes, we are. And I'm solo. So, hey, anything can happen on this show. My kids might come bursting in here crying. My wife might be yelling at me. I might stumble over my words a few times. So leave some comments. Help your boy through his first ever solo show. Eric, Jay, Chris, they're all out, I guess, just having fun. One's golfing, one's on the moon. And I think the other one's actually doing some work for a living. So they're out. And Mike going solo. So you get 3x the pay, right? Tommy Kramer, man. I hope so, man. It's a new thing we're trying out. Hopefully, this isn't a routine thing that we're going to do with me solo. But my hosting duties aren't as skilled as some of those other guys. But yeah, man, I'm excited about the slate. I was hoping for some bigger prize pools. And as Chris drops in here saying he's working, but he's still watching. So make that bread, Chris, while we try to break this bread on DK, man. So let's go game by game here. Some nice totals on the slate. There's some totals that are kind of meh, and then we have some totals kind of right sandwiched in the middle. I'm thinking I'm attacking mid-tier plays more often than not. Some of these guys that are at the top, kind of tough to get to just because we need the value pieces to go. And whenever you don't have the mispricing on mid-major guys or major injury news, it's kind of tough to find those guys. So, yeah, let's start with LSU and Texas. LSU is +7. This is a neutral site game. 143-point total. Texas is 32nd in offensive efficiency, 45th in defensive efficiency. Playing a little bit slower than last year. 202nd in tempo. LSU, 157th on offense. And I'm actually surprised they're that high. They've looked lost on offense at times. 79th in defense and playing a little bit faster than they did last year. 172nd. So some notes that I jotted down here. Both top 100 offensive possession time. So they're actually playing a little bit faster on offense, but they're playing really tough defense. They're both in the 300s in defensive possession time. So this game could slow down. I could see this game actually going under as a resident Texas fan myself. But just looking at the rates and everything overall in this matchup, like you got to give Texas a steal rate bump here. LSU is one of the worst in getting the ball taken away from them via the steal. So a little bump on the steal rate for Texas, also a bump for 3-point percentage for Texas, and then offensive rebounding too. A little bit of a bump for Texas as well. On the LSU side, we finally got the news that two-time transfers are going to be able to play. So luckily there aren't a ton of them on this slate. Cook for LSU is one. He was one of our top 5 transfers on our big board this past offseason. So he's got the Q tag because he did get that waiver, so he should be in. We'll have to check, obviously, before tip, make sure he is in. But he's 8.1. I don't know that I have too much interest in him at that price point, and would be his first game. I don't think he's going to run out there for 30, 35 minutes. So I'm gonna pass on Cook. Really not too interested on the LSU side. They're projected for 68 points. You could look at Jordan Wright. He's 7K. He's going to play a bunch of minutes. He's at that wing position. So, if you want to go Jordan Wright, like, okay. He's part of that kind of that mid-tier range that you like to look at. An interesting one, a little bit of a revenge narrative is Will Baker. Actually started his career at Texas, actually went to my rival high school. So a little bit of a factor there if you believe in that stuff. He's 6.2. He shoots threes. He can do some rebounding. This is just a pretty tough matchup. So, his ceiling is probably going to be 5X in this spot, which you love. But he's, the floor with Texas and their defense is pretty low. So a little nervous about the bigs there, especially with Kalen Shedrick, Dylan Mitchell on the other side playing strong defense. Even Brock Cunningham will mix it up. Reed at 5.9 is probably the only other guy I would look at for LSU. It's really just price. Maybe in a better matchup, he's got a little more ceiling, but yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm getting to any of the guys on the LSU side. Maybe throwing a Baker. I think I've got 4 lineups right now. I haven't even built them. Going to kind of build them as we go out through the show here. Probably end up at like 10 or 15 lineups when it's all said and done. So LSU, not too much on this side. I do like some of the Texas side. We talked about the bumps and steal rate, 3-point percentage, and offensive rebounding percentage. Texas is projected to score 75 points. They're 272nd in bench minutes. So where LSU's 30th in bench minutes, Texas doesn't run that many guys. So you're going to get a lot of guys that play 30 minutes for Texas. So Max Asmus, he's 8.2K. He can knock down the 3 ball. I can get you a few steals. I worry about the ceiling with him. Man, he's kind of shot dependent, so he's gonna have to knock down his shots. And LSU isn't the worst defense, obviously 79th. I'm probably not going to get to Asmus. I'm probably going to get to a share or 2 of Mitchell and Shedrick. Mitchell is 7.9K. Shedrick is 7.4K. Both going to get that boost in offensive rebounding percentage, and they both get steals. So you like that. Mitchell at 7.9. A little bit tougher, right? I kind of want to save that $500 because there's not a ton of value. So Cedric at 7.4. I'll probably go, if I get to 10 lineups, I'll probably play two Cedric and one Mitchell. Probably need to get to a few more lineups to feel super comfortable on that. A large field GPP play is Tyrese Hunter. He has not played well. He's at 6.1K. Just hasn't shot the three well. Hasn't really been the defensive presence that he normally is. But he's got 30 fantasy point upside at 6.1. So, if he has one of those games where he knocks down 2 or 3 threes, he grabs a couple of steals, he's going to rack up some assists and some boards because he's on the floor for 35 minutes. I have some interest in large field settings only for Tyrese Hunter. If you want to go there, I don't mind it. And it looks like Mama Rocks has jumped in here. Hey, Mike, much appreciated for the Up to Lock show. Alone and unafraid. Well, the first part is correct. The unafraid part, man, a little afraid right now. But hey, man, we're going to work through it together, here to provide the information. Hopefully we can take down one of these big tournaments. Moving on to the next game on the slate, 149-point total. Georgia Tech is +1 on KenPom in a neutral site game against Penn State. When I first saw this game, I thought this total would be a little bit lower. Georgia Tech is not great offensively. They're 171st. Their speed, their tempo is okay. They're 102nd in defensive efficiency. Penn State, outside the top 100 in offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, but they're 54th in tempo. So, with Georgia Tech, obviously you're going to get a pace-up spot here, but neither one of these teams shoot very well. So the fact that this total is coming in at 149 is just telling me that the tempo is going to be key because neither one of these teams shoot it very well from three. So, just kind of looking through the breakdowns on both teams. Penn State, a little bit of a steal bump. Georgia Tech turns the ball over a lot, and it's usually via the steal. So Penn State guys with some steal upside get a little bit of a bump. And then Penn State, man, kind of like it's just been the same song and dance with these guys for the last couple of years. They cannot control the offensive glass, or the offense and defensive glass, but more so this year, defensive glass. Georgia Tech gets an offensive rebounding bump here. So the totals here, you're looking at Georgia Tech at a 74 implied point total. They're 56th in bench minutes, so they will run some guys out there, which is really annoying. Penn State 75 implied total, 212th in bench. So you get a little more clarity on the guys that are going to be on the floor. Because Georgia Tech does run some guys out there, I'm looking at two guys in particular. Bayandongo, who is 6.8K. Gets that offensive rebounding bump. He blew up before the last game, which was a blowout against the Cupcake. He's got 35 to 40 fantasy point upside. He's on our tournament core for definitely someone that you want to get in if you're playing in those large fields. So do like Bayandongo. I always have to play Miles Kelly because 1, he takes 1,000 shots. 2, he's on the floor for 40 minutes. And 3, I just can't quit him. So at 6.8K, Miles Kelly, I do like the price. It's coming down a little bit. He's going to get me in some trouble today. I don't know that I'm going to stack the two. I wouldn't mind if you did it. They're both pretty safe. They don't really take away from each other. So Kelly and Ndongo, really the two guys from Georgia Tech I'm looking at. Penn State feels like a little trappy. It feels a little trappy to play some of these guys. Ace Baldwin, man, he just hasn't really gotten it going this year. A lot of that has to do with Clary. But Baldwin, 7.1K. All these guys that we're talking about get this little steal bump, so you could get an extra few points here via the steal. Baldwin, though, man, he's kind of been living in the high 20s. So you don't love it. Could he reach back and go for 35? Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to pay for it. I'd rather, obviously, in cash and double ups, lock in Clary at 6.6. You can play Clary in tournaments as well, but he's more of a safer option at 6.6. Shooting the ball a ton. He's very aggressive, driving to the rim, taking threes. So don't mind Clary at the 6.6. His price, really hasn't adjusted. Some of these other guys you can kind of take flyers on. If you're looking at that sub 5K, You can look at Nick Kern. He's 4.7, super volatile. He's going to shoot some threes. You don't know if he's going to be on the court for 15 minutes or 35 minutes. So, that's kind of the the deal with him. So I wouldn't even say more comfortable, but I would rather save $800 and go down to Dunn here at 3.9. He played very well last game. So, I'm looking to get some Dunn where I can, let's say KJ Adams is in, let's say Charles Pride is in, and we're not going to know the Pride info until later this afternoon. So, if you find it, like, that's awesome. I don't think we're going to have it. If you want to gamble a little bit, you can play Dunn here. A lot of the minutes are going to be volatile as well. You just don't know, but he played well last game. And he's an option off the bench. So I definitely don't mind it. I mean, the total is almost 150 in this game. So, the guys that we're talking about, nobody's over 7.1 in this matchup that we've talked about. So, that in itself tends to draw me into this game, but I feel like it's a little trappy. So just kind of be careful with that there. We'll move over to the next game, which is Kansas -6 at Indiana, 148 point total. Kansas is obviously a juggernaut, playing at a decent speed. Indiana, surprising offensive efficiency at 84. They don't shoot any threes. They don't share the ball. So it's a little annoying to play Indiana, but we'll start with the Kansas side. It's just looking at the metrics. Kansas is going to get a 3-point percentage bump. Indiana's not great at defending that. They give up a lot of threes. Kansas, an assist rate bump too. They're allowing assisted field goals. So the Kansas side, you really have to look at, because they're 343rd in bench minutes and 77 implied total. Also, the KJ Adams news. So we'll have to look for that as well, because that could open up the Parker Braun play at 3.4. We'll start with Hunter Dickinson at 10.6. It feels gross just because Indiana can throw a lot of bodies at him. Man, I don't know on this particular slate that you can. It's hard to get up to these guys over 10K and feel about the value plays that you're playing. So Dickinson 10.6, like, I'm never going to say not play him. McCullough, his price is obviously exploded with his play this year. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the country this year, getting a ton of minutes and usage. He's at 9.5. That is a tough pill to swallow. So if you can get to these price points, get to them, because these are guys that are going to play 40 minutes. These are guys that have a ton of usage in Dickinson and McCullough. You better hope that value hits, though. KJ Adams, he's not in play. If he's out, that would be awesome, because then you can play Parker Braun at 3.4. Looking at, what else? Like, I guess DeJuan Harris is in the player pool. I mean, 6.5. He does have some tournament upside. He's a little annoying for tournaments, though, right? Because of the floor. So, if you don't want to go there, I completely get it. But every now and then he'll pop off for a 35, 40. He just hasn't been really, stealing the ball as much as we're used to. And he just hasn't been shooting well, obviously. Tommy jumping back in here. Too much stuff going on. NCAA, basketball, football, NFL, later NBA. I need a secretary. Seriously. There is a ton going on today, which is, I think, part of why the slate, is only 2K to first on DK. But you know what? It's going to be February soon. And we're going to be locking up these 10K to first and these 20K to first and these mania seats, or whatever they're calling it now, the king of the bracket. So, with Kansas, like, if you can get to Dickinson and McCullough, great. Harris, if you want to get that 1% craziness going. And then obviously we need the KJ Adams news for Parker Braun at 3.4. Feels like Braun would probably play 25 minutes. Furphy would probably play 25 minutes. Marco Jackson will probably play 25 minutes. So, get the guy at 25 minutes and a big implied total. He's not going to have any usage, obviously, but he's a guy that can block a shot and get some rebounds. If you can get to that 4X at 3.4, that opens up a lot to try to get these guys that can go for 6X at, 10K. So do not mind Parker Braun, but we need the KJ Adams dues for sure. On the Indiana side, 71 implied total. Look, I don't like playing Indiana because, one, they don't hit any threes, so you don't get that half point bonus. They don't assist at all. They don't share the ball. So you don't get that 1.5 on the assist. It's tough to stat guys together. Malik Renew if you had to play one and you're at like this, last man in 6.5K, okay, like Renew's going to play high 30s minutes. The rates are good, but it's a tough matchup. So, maybe a little bit of a boost, obviously, with the home cooking here. But yeah, there's not too much on the Indiana side. We'll scoot on over to Baylor -4 neutral site game against Michigan State, who is playing everyone, which I love. Everyone's jumping off the Michigan State bandwagon because they, early season struggles, but look at their schedule. Izzo knows what he's doing. Once it comes to March, everybody's going to be like, oh, man, Izzo, Sweet 16. That's just what he does. Baylor's second in offensive efficiency. Michigan State's 16th in defensive efficiency. Michigan State is slow. 333rd in tempo. Baylor is 128th in tempo. So this is a pace-up spot for Michigan State. Looking at the metrics, a block bump for Michigan State. Baylor is getting their shot blocked. I don't know how Michigan State's going to hit that many threes. I mean, Baylor defends the three very, very well. Michigan State's not shooting it. They were third in three-point percentage last year. This year, they're not shooting it well from three. So, looking at the percentage this year, you got 29% from three this year for Michigan State with the same guys. That's crazy. Last year, looking at it here, at third, almost 40% from three. So if Michigan State gets the three ball to go down, they're going to start winning some more games. But, this one, I don't know. I don't know how many threes are going to go down for Michigan State. So I do like Baylor to cover here. Baylor gets an assist bump. Michigan State is allowing a lot of assists. Looking at the Baylor side, a lot of guys in play. There's probably 6 guys really that are in play. Only a couple of them do I really like. Ray J. Dennis is 8.1. I don't know. Like the price kind of takes the ceiling out for me. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. He's also going to get some AJ Hoggard defense, which, if anybody knows Hoggard, he likes to bang around. So I don't know. Like the guys at the top for Baylor, I'm not super excited with. Jacoby Walter, 7.2. He's shot dependent. I don't think I want to go there. So, with Walter 7.2, if he scores 28 real life points, he may only score 31 fantasy points, which you got 7.2. That's, not going to win you a tournament. So the guys that I'm more interested in right here in this soft spot, this 6K range, you might as well call this the 6K slate. Misi at 6.6. He gets that block bump for shot blocking. We know he's a double threat. Man, guy's just playing so good. Now the minutes, he could get into foul trouble, so he's got some got some floor to him here. So tournament play only. Bridges at 6.3. Also, can block some shots, shoot some threes. Save $300 at the forward position from Misi, so don't mind me some Bridges. He exploded the other day for a huge game. He's super volatile. So tournament only. Jaden Nunn at 5.7. You could look at him. He takes a lot of shots. Minutes have been kind of sporadic recently. Langston Love is part of the reason why. Now his price is up. It's a lot better when it was low 4K, high 3K. So for a 74 implied total, Michigan State tough on defense and slow. They're going to try to control the game, make this a long drawn out game. I'm not heavy on, as Eric would say, my Baylor Bears, but if you want to get to one of these guys, if I had to rank them out, it'd probably be Misi 1, probably Bridges 2, and then the scoring options, Dennis and Walter, probably be third, honestly. So moving over to the Michigan State side, Michigan State plays a lot of guys, so they're actually kind of terrifying to play 50th in bench minutes. The one guy I do like to play for tournaments because the price has come down is Tyson Walker at 6.9. I mean, he could go for 40. Man, like outside of that, like I know Hoggard's down here at 6.6, Hall's at 6.5, which is kind of interesting. They're right there in that spot where you're like, they have tournament upside, but you just don't feel comfortable clicking it, right? I mean, Baylor, 43rd defensive efficiency, not quite what we're used to, seeing from them on a year-to-year basis. The if Michigan State's getting paced up and Baylor gets this ball going up and down the court, then I like these guys a lot more. So it's not like Baylor's playing super fast, 128th in tempo, but still, Baylor's first in 3-point percentage. So Michigan State may have to get up and down the floor, which is why I like them, which is why Walker is in our tournament core 4. This is an interesting game to watch. I feel like this is actually a key game in this slate to pay attention to. So, all right, let's move on. Georgetown +5 at Notre Dame, 139. At first look, I was like, I don't want to play this game, but you just have to look at how bad Georgetown is on defense, how bad Notre Dame is on offense, how slow Notre Dame is on tempo, and they're getting paced up by Georgetown. Two bad teams. This could go obviously one of two ways. This could be a clanker, or we could go over here and get some fantasy production. On the Georgetown side, we got to pay attention to Epps' news. He's got an illness. Feels like everyone has illness. I'm battling through some sinuses right now, so appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. Jaden Epps do everything for Georgetown. He's 7.1. We'll see. I don't think we've gotten the news if he's in or not. So if he's in, I don't mind it. Because he does have a huge usage rate. He will play a ton of minutes. So I think Epps is totally in play here. Brumbaugh, if he's out, becomes more in play for me at 6.3. Gets an assist bump here. Notre Dame does give up a ton of assists. So Brumbaugh can grab some rebounds for a guard. So I don't mind it. He's in that area that I want to live in, the 6.3. I'm trying to get 5 to 6x upside in all these guys in the mid-tier range, which they do have. Looking up and down the rest of this roster, man. Masood, 5.8, completely burning everybody the other night at 5.8K. He took a bunch of shots, though, and he's a big part of this offense. Like, he's going to play 30-plus minutes again. He's going to take double-digit shots. He's got rebounding upside. He can block a shot or two. Excuse me. So, Masood, he's in the player pool for sure. So, I like him even more if Epps is out. If Epps is out, Brumbaugh and Masood, bump up to those guys. If Epps is in, Masood is probably not as effective as Brumbaugh, so I don't mind it. Flipping over to the Notre Dame side, 72 implied total. They're 200 at the bench minutes. Man, these guys are just so young. Burton at 7.2 is probably the guy I would take a shot on in tournaments. He's 7.2K. Yeah, he's going to take a lot of shots. He has nice usage rate. He can grab some assists. I want to get into this game, but like I said, this could be another clunker, so it's a little scary. So obviously these guys are tournament plays only. I have some interest in Burton. That's about it on this Notre Dame side, honestly. He also gets a bump up in steal rate. Georgetown turns the ball over a ton, so there's going to be some steals in this game on the Notre Dame side. So Burton, if you want to play him at 7.2, I do like that. So I think we're close halfway through. Appreciate you guys rocking it out with me solo. First time doing this, show me some love. Hit that like and subscribe button. We would appreciate it. We're creeping up to 700 subscribers on YouTube, so we'd appreciate it. We see all you guys out there. Hopefully I'm crushing it for you guys. Not too monotone, trying to inject a little energy. Myron out here, the main GPP is barely over halfway full. Yeah. That kind of goes back to, what Tommy said. Man, there's just so much going on, football, NBA, a lot going on. So appreciate you guys rocking it out with me. We're about 49 minutes from lock. So, we'll try to get you guys out of here soon. And Micah Feltman, don't know if we've seen you in here, man. Appreciate you joining. We are starving for value. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Where is the value? We need an injury or two to pop up, or we need KJ Adams to sit. We're going to need Charles Pride to miss another game, for some of that clear value to open up. But, you got to check, man. You got to be on Twitter last minute for NCAA, CBB style swaps, because you don't know. It comes out sometimes 10 minutes after lock, which is really annoying. But yeah, the next game we'll jump over to Texas A&M +9 at Houston, 135-point total. Yeah, this is an ugly one. Look, I am a Texas fan, but it is because they're playing Texas A&M, and it's not because they're playing Texas A&M. This is just not a good spot for the Aggies. Obviously, the spread here is 9 points on Ken Palm. It's just ugly. They're both 320s in tempo. Like, they're good offensively, but they take their time. Houston's the number 1 defense in the country. A&M, I don't know if they're going to hit any threes. I just 63 implied total, 59th bench minutes for A&M. It's just a no for me, dog, and it's not the homerism here. It's just a no. Houston on the other side, 72 implied total. That's good. 47th in bench minutes, so they play a lot of guys as well. You're not surprised if 11 guys have checked in by the 13-minute mark. But you do have to rock a little bit of Shed and Cryer. Houston's going to get a 3-point percentage bump. They'll get an assist bump just with the way the Aggies have been playing. Shed at 7.2. Wish the price was – I wish these guys were just kind of in the mid-6K. I would rather play Shed just because he can get you some steals, assists. Cryer is way more shot dependent. So I'd rather pay the extra $200 and get the Shed. If you want to play Cryer and just hope he goes off from 3, I get it. I don't know that you need to do that. So, Jawan Roberts at 6.4K. I'm kind of off of him because of he's got swelling in his knee. He is in. We got that news a little bit earlier this morning. So he is in. It's just, I'm not going to pay, I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay 6.4 in an ugly game with someone that's having knee issues. So, that's just my take. I'm kind of crossing this game off. You got to move on from some of these games on 12-game slates. So I think we've got about 5 more games here. So we'll pick up, or 6 more games here. We'll pick up the pace a little bit. Clemson +1 at Memphis, 151-point total. 2 really good offenses, both top 50. 2 really good defenses, both top 50 in adjusted efficiencies. The difference here is that Clemson likes to play slow. Memphis likes to play fast. So this is a pace-up spot for Clemson. Looking at the rates, Memphis is going to get a free throw rate bump. Clemson is fouling a lot. While they are getting to the line a lot, Clemson should be able to block some shots. So, Memphis is taking it to the rack, but also getting a lot of shots blocked. And the combination of the amount of threes that Memphis gives up and the 3-point percentage, you give a bump to some of the guys that can shoot threes on Clemson's side. So, big total, 151 points. Clemson, yeah, PJ Hall, right? 9.9. If you can get to him, get to him. Not a priority for me because, like I said, I'm living in the mid-range. Joe Girard at 7.3. Man, it's kind of that thing, right? That's just above where I want to be paying for my guys, right? I'm trying to live in that 6K range. If you're playing some value, you can get to Girard. He's obviously boom bust for tournaments only. Has huge upside with 3-point shooting. Shiflin is playing out of his mind. I'd said not to play him last game, so of course he goes off. I'm going to say not to play him again because he's $400 more, and he's the 4th option on this team. Shiflin is a no for me. I'm going to keep chasing old Chase Hunter at 5.3. He's a 6.5 to 7K player. Tournament option only. He cannot make a shot to save his life. If he starts making a few shots, he could be the difference here. So I do like some Chase Hunter. Godfrey and Wiggins kind of splitting the minutes at the at that other wing and forward spot. You don't know who's going to get what. I wish these guys were high 3Ks or real low, right at 4K. A lot of people, I think 30% went to Wiggins last slate. Yeah. He's shot dependent. So now that he's 4.4, he's going to have to knock down a lot of threes and have to have Godfrey on the bench more than he was last game. So I'm not going to go to either one of those guys. I'll go to Hunter. So, yeah, Wiggins having 9 fantasy points last game. Big bust. I did not have any of him. Switching over to the Memphis side, 76 implied total. I wish Eric was here because he could just go off about his boy David Jones. The price tag, 8.6. I do like it, though. I do like him. He is a guy that is just going to shoot a ton of shots, and you love that. He gets to the free throw line a ton, so 8.6 at that forward position too, which is always tough to find value at the forward position. I do like me some David Jones. Javon Quinterly, he is a tournament core 4 play, 7.1K, gets to the free throw line a ton, playing great minutes. Assist rate. He's just a really solid player. So at 7.1, I don't mind going to Javon Quinterly. He can get into the mid 30s, high, touch 40 in this spot. So that is why he's on our tournament core 4. The rest of these guys, like so much usage through Jones and Quinterly. Mills at 5.5. Hate the price bump. Minutes are a little volatile. I don't think you need to go there. Jourdain, somewhat interesting at 4.3. He shoots a lot of threes. I don't mind him as a stacking partner. It's kind of ugly. I mean, he played nearly 30 minutes last game. The problem is that PJ Hall's on the floor, so you feel like Malcolm Dandridge is going to have to play. He's probably going to foul out, but he's going to be on the Dandridge is going to be on the floor for 20 to 25 minutes. Jourdain will not be able to stop the combination of Shiflett and Hall. So risky play, but I don't mind it if you need to find some love there. But yeah, overall, I mean, there's going to be a lot of fantasy points in this game, so I don't mind getting to a 1-1 in this spot or even a 2-1. Definitely don't mind it at all. We got some comments flowing through. Let's see what we got here. What do we got? Full-time 20. Thanks for putting in the work, Mike. Let's ship today. Hey, appreciate it, man. Going solo for the first time. And it feels like the first time. Battling, at least the kids haven't run in here screaming and crying. Mama Rocks, you're killing it. Biggest question for me is to boycott or not. We'll get to that here in just a minute, Mama Rocks. So 12 minutes. We're going to try to get you guys out of here about 10:40. Chase Hunter season, Tim? Yeah. Absolutely. Guy that can win you a tournament for sure. So definitely don't mind it. And yeah, hey, you can't put a price tag on true love for sure. So let's see here. Next game. Next game, 135-point total. UCLA +3. Playing Ohio State. Yeah. UCLA is going to have a tough time getting some buckets here. Only a couple of plays in this game for me. I mean, both teams implied under 70. Bona at 7.9, obviously a guy that plays 30-plus minutes, high usage, high rebounding, high block rate. You can play some Bona. I don't know how he gets to the price point. I don't know how you feel comfortable with it, but he's got tournament upside. Really, that's it on the UCLA side. Like maybe Addy Mara, but I mean, this is just an ugly game. One of the lower implied totals on the slate too for UCLA. Ohio State, 158th in bench minutes. So Thornton at 7.4, Roddy Gale at 6.4 is confirmed in. I would look at those two guys because UCLA is giving up free throws at a high rate, so fouling a lot. As I can hear one of my kids running down the stairs. Ohio State also getting an assist bump, so both of those guys have high assist rates. Don't mind using one or the other. I don't know that it's necessary. So where Houston and A&M were a cross-off game, this is probably the next cross-off game for me, unless you get to some tournament Bona or some tournament Thornton and Gale. So moving over to a game that I have a ton of interest in, Florida Atlantic -8 against St. Bonaventure, 150-point total. St. Bonaventure, 306th in tempo, but they've got injuries and they're getting paced up by FAU at 148th in tempo. Well, we think they have injury. So we'll start on the FAU side. I was actually surprised to see them at 216th in bench minutes. It feels like FAU plays 1,000 guys, which is really annoying. Now, John L. Davis has to be in the player pool. I mean, he has 40-plus fantasy point upside on every slate for a team that basically has an 80-point implied total. Do like John L. Davis for tournaments. Elijah Martin, love him as well at 7.5. Both of these guys are fantastic tournament plays. Let's see. Golden at 7.3. The front court has a little more of a rotation, so don't know that you want to go to Golden at 7.3. Really, for me, kind of like it is with every slate that FAU's on, they have a high total. It's it's spinning the wheel and figuring out which one of Davis or Martin's going to go for 40 fantasy points. So definitely do not mind it. St. Bonaventure, maybe the key to the slate, unfortunately, starting their game late today. Oh, man. Like 191st in bench minutes, but when they've had some blowouts this year. In tight games, they're only running 7 to 8 guys out there. And with Charles Pride out, who plays 38 to 40 minutes a night, he's at 7.8K with an ankle issue. And they said it wasn't, back on December 1st, they said it was severe, more severe than day to day. So obviously is now the 16th, 2 weeks to heal up. He didn't play in the last game. If he is out, that obviously shrinks that rotation even more. And this is projected to be, a game where they're going to want to, play a tighter rotation, obviously. So for that reason, if Charles Pride is out, you have to have a ton of interest in St. Bonaventure. Mike Adams-Woods at 6.7 would be an awesome play. Tournament or cash. I know we have him in the cash core 4. You can look all the way down to the other 5 guys that really get minutes here. Isambu at 6.2. A little more volatile than the other guys. Not really a high usage rate. People are going to look at that game log and probably, click him more than some of the other guys, but you shouldn't do that. Way more interest in Daryl Banks at 5.9, Flowers at 4.4, and Evans at 3.4. Banks, man, like he's kind of been hurt by Pride and Mike Adams-Woods coming over. Last year was an absolute beast. If you told me last year that he would be 5.9, I'd be like, sign me up on 100% lock. With Pride out, obviously a boost to him. He does have 35 fantasy point upside. The 2 guys that are going to benefit the most, and the 2 guys that we have to pay attention to, are Flowers and Evans. Flowers at 4.4, he does have a 20% usage rate. So, he's going to get his. The problem is Pride going to be in? If Pride is in, a little tougher to play him. If Pride is out, Flowers has 25, around 25 fantasy point upside. Evans, though, I am probably going to play way too much of him at 3.4. One, he was a bench player before Pride was injured. Now he's inserted into the starting lineup when Pride's been out. He's at the forward position, which we love to find value at. If he gets you 15, you're winning. If he gets you 20 to 25, you're feeling really good about yourself. He's also blowout. I think he's blowout proof because he was a bench player, so it feels like he's going to get some run if in case of a blowout. Yeah, we got to look for the news on this, man. This is one of the keys to the slate. So got about 6 minutes here. Rocking through 3 more games, I believe. So appreciate you guys joining me, man. I'm going solo dolo while the guys are out and about. We'll all be back together again soon. It is the holidays. We did not break up. The One and Done crew will be back together again. But shout out to my guys, Eric, Jay, and Chris. And appreciate you guys following today. First time going solo. Hopefully the information helps you win a tournament today. Let me know how I'm doing. Hopefully I'm hanging in there, trying to battle back from a little bit of illness. So, hey, what would be the best way to battle back is to win 2K today. So we'll move on to the Arizona and Purdue game. Whoa, fireworks here, 161 point total. It's one of the late games. That's great. So don't feel great if you don't have any PMR heading into 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. Ken Palm's got Arizona +1, 81 to 80 Purdue. Looking at it, 2 of the best offenses in the country, 2 of the best defenses in the country, efficiency-wise, both top 10. The difference here is Arizona loves to play fast, fit the tempo. Purdue's, they're okay. They started off the year in the top 100, have slipped down to 159th. Looking at the metrics, Arizona gets an assist bump. Purdue is giving up a lot of assists. They're also turning the ball over via the steal. So Arizona guys that, rack up steals will get a bump here. On the other side, Arizona's giving up a lot of assists. So obviously the game's 81 to 80. There's going to be assists, but it's not going to be solo ball. So you like to see that, teams like Indiana, those teams, it's like it's solo ball and you just don't get the assists. When they score 80, it's like there's not enough fantasy points going around. We'll start with Arizona, 56th in bench minutes. You don't love that, especially in the front court, which is annoying. Caleb Love, he's there, 7.9. Tournament play. That price is starting to get scary for him. So He does get the assist and steal bump that we talked about. I'll let you guys do it. That's not going to be for me. So, yeah, I don't know. It looks like he's 7.6K. No, not for me. I can't. I understand if you want to go there, but it's just not for me. Ballo, 6.9. I mean, Edie's out there. The thing whenever you play Purdue, and this happened the other day, it's like Tyler Wall and Kral getting in, on the last game that Purdue played, everyone getting into foul trouble. It's always a thing because Edie is number one in fouls drawn. So you play the big guys like Ballo and Johnson, and it's a little tough. It's really tough. Especially because Tommy Lloyd's not afraid to run out some of his international bigs that he got. And they played well, like Krivas. He's played well. So I want to play some Johnson at 6'7", just because he can do a lot. Yeah, man, that Edie deal is – he's probably going to have to take some turns on Edie. He can't just be Ballo. So feel a little bit safer with Johnson. But, with the like I said, with Purdue, man, and the last game was against Alabama. Grant Nelson got into foul trouble. Muhammad Wagi, he had 4 fouls, I think, in the first half, or 3 fouls in the first. I think it might have been 4. It was insane. So I struggle with the bigs. Boswell, I have a lot of interest in. He's obviously in the cash core for a reason. High floor. I think he's got more tournament upside than what we've seen. And if people go to Love, saving $1,500 to get to Boswell, I think he can get up to the 30-35 spot at 6.2. He's right in that that soft spot that we want to be in, right at that average salary that you start at 50K. So, yeah, I'm going to have some Boswell at 6.2. On the other side, it's the same 3 guys for me. Edie, 11.2. Anytime he's over 11 or over, I don't play him, and that's just a rule that I have. There's just too many things that could go wrong. And if he beats me, because you also need the value to go with it. Because if he goes for 60 and your value guys go for 8 and my 2 mid-tier guys for 35, it kind of cancels out. So, he's really only paid this off one time at this price, and that was in an overtime game against Northwestern. So if you want to play Edie, play him. It's not for me. Braden Smith's price, it just will not stop. And for good reason. He's playing awesome. 9K. It's a good spot. He could challenge for a double-double. Arizona's giving up a ton of assists. I don't know, man. He's come up almost $2,000 over the last few weeks. So just tough to get to the Purdue guys. Even though you'd love the total, right? Lawyer at 5.2, I have a lot of tournament interest in. He's always a guy that, will play 30, 35 minutes in tough, close contested matchups. It's hit or miss here and there with him and Jones, shot dependent, right? I do have tournament interest in both him and Jones. So, it's crazy. For 161 implied total, it doesn't feel that great. But there are going to be a couple of guys, obviously, that hit the 5X. If you want to 1-1 this spot, completely get it. We just need to find value. We've hit the 10:30 mark. We've got 2 more games to go, so we'll wrap this up. Moving over to Northwestern, -6 at DePaul. 142-point total. Northwestern's slow, but they're 331st in bench minutes. So their guys are on the floor for 30. Basically, everybody outside of Nicholson's on the floor for 35 minutes. DePaul, I'm going to pace them up a little bit, 155th in tempo. Not great offensively, not great defensively. They beat Louisville. Congrats on the Turd Bowl there. A lot of bumps for Northwestern. 3-point percentage bump. Northwestern, 2-point percentage bump. An assist bump for Northwestern guys. A steal bump for Northwestern guys. DePaul can't do anything right except beat Louisville. DePaul, they should be able to knock down some threes and get some assists in this game. Northwestern struggled in those 2 areas as well. So, sneakily some fantasy points in this 142-point matchup. Northwestern implied at 74 points. The guys are going to be on the floor. Boo Booey's at 8.8. Don't mind it at all. He gets a bump in pretty much everything. He drives hard. He shoots threes, gets assists, and racks up steals. Barnheiser at 8.3. Man, I don't know if I can get there, but I wouldn't I wouldn't mind it if you did. I might have a share of Barnheiser. I've gotten up to 12 lineups now on DraftKings. The guy that I am most intrigued with is Ryan Langborg, 6.5. He does get a bump in the shooting as well as the assist and steal rate. 6.5. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He has 40 fantasy point upside. Really, really like him. Obviously, he's in our tournament. In our tournament pool for core forward, shooting 43% from three. Just an awesome addition for them. I love them. They got him over from Princeton. Barry, he's at 6.0. So 6K flat. Yeah, I mean, he's on the floor a lot. High steal rate. Can knock down some threes, so you don't mind it. So I'll play some Barry as well. Nicholson is very interesting. He could go off for a 30 piece here. DePaul can't defend anybody inside. He's actually got a 20% assist rate for a big man. The problem is he doesn't play a lot of minutes, so that's really annoying. But he is someone at lower ownership that can really go off, so don't mind it for show. DePaul, on this DePaul side, I got to stop playing. Oh, Odin paid off last slate. Finally, it was like 1%. Him and Nelson are going to be 1-2% every slate. They're going to play 35 minutes. Not trouble. But both of those guys for tournaments, I could see that. But really the guy, I don't know if I'm going to get to one of those guys today. Maybe a last man in type deal. But it's going to be Carter, Chico Carter. 6.7. Love the price. He's getting a bump in the three-point shooting and assist rate that Northwestern gives up. DePaul's 289th in bench minutes. So the guys that are going to be on the floor in this matchup, which you love. So, yeah, I'm going to get some Chico Carter in my lineup. Where are you guys at in your builds? If you got some 1v1 questions, 2v2 questions, last man in questions, drop them in. We got about 7 more minutes before we get out of here. Last game here, moving on over. Kentucky +2 versus North Carolina, 168 total. You love that, right? Kentucky, 13th offensive efficiency. North Carolina, 7th offensive efficiency, both top 50 in tempo. Man, there's going to be a fantasy points galore in this one. Kentucky projected to score 83 points. North Carolina projected to score 85 points. Where do you go with Kentucky now that Bradshaw's back? Dillingham, obviously, at 7.7. Man, I wish he played 30, 35 minutes because that would be super sweet. But, he's a guy that can go for 40, so he's at the player pool. Mitchell, we got to be a little bit careful with because Bradshaw's back. It feels like Mitchell's now going to play the 4, Bradshaw's going to play the 5. But still, his minutes they're not completely secure. That's not saying he's not going to play 30 minutes and have a good game. But, where we were earlier in the year with Mitchell is a little bit different than where we are now. Shepard at 7.3. Man, the guy's been balling, absolutely balling. So if you want to get to him, I get it. I hate that, Wagner is back and Dillingham is here. Like, only one of those guys, it feels like at these price points now are going to go off. When they were sub 7K, it felt like you get 2 of them to go off together. So I don't mind Shepard. Reeves, kind of the same boat. Don't mind it. 6.9. Like, whatever. Bradshaw at 6.6. I probably going to play wait and see because of Baycott. If I had to put these Kentucky guys in order, Wagner 6.6. I would probably pay up for Dillingham at 7.7. I'd probably put Shepard 2, Reeves 3. Bradshaw, because the matchup is a 4. I feel like Baycott's going to put him in foul trouble. So, man, these implied totals with the Purdue-Arizona game and Kentucky-North Carolina and the pricing is so annoying. Like, it's hard to play more than one guy on each side. So, you find the value, you can get to 2 1s, 2 2s. I think we had a question earlier about Baycott. Well, on the North Carolina side, Baycott's 9.2. 9.2. If he was 9.2 and Bradshaw was one of their 7-footers and wasn't back, I'd feel a lot better because we know Trey Mitchell struggles defending, bigs. But now they're going to have some Bradshaw in there guarding him. Good shot blocker. Baycott at 9.2. It just feels like 40 to 45 is a ceiling, which is great for tournaments, right? It's just how do you get to him? So I don't mind playing him. I would play him. You need the value to get it done, and also you need to hope that Hunter Dickinson doesn't go nuclear, because you're not going to be able to get to two of these guys. The thing is, I don't think you're going to be able to play two 10K guys or two 9.5 and above guys, or 9.3, whatever. Yeah, Baycott's 9.3 or 9.2. So going to be tough. Davis is in our core four for cash. The guy's just going to play 40 minutes today. High rates. Assist bump. Kentucky's giving up a lot of assists. He's 8.4K. So I'm going to try to get to some RJ Davis. Just tough on the pricing again, guys. Ingram at 8K. Yeah, and I love when the pricing is like this. I'm not complaining, because you get away from these like ridiculous scores. Ingram at 8K. I mean, the rates are nice. Like, the guys are going to be on the floor for North Carolina, 254th in bench minutes. So if I had to rate them, I'd go Davis 1, probably Ingram 2, and Baycott 3, price adjusted. Just my preference, but you can. I could see Baycott, having a nice game. But really, if you want the floor plus the ceiling, I think Davis is probably your best play here. So that wraps it up for a 12-game slate. I'll go back over our cash core four and our tournament core four. So for our cash core four, you're going to be playing RJ Davis, the aforementioned, Micah Adams-Woods, the guard from St. Bonaventure at 6.7K, Kanye Clary from Penn State at 6.6 from Penn State, Kylan Boswell from Arizona at 6.2. That would be our cash core four. So guys with high floors, really good ceilings, not great, not like slate smashing, like you're going to go for, 6X. But guys that, you can make some noise with for sure. So 5.5K left if you put that in. Obviously, with injury news, you get a Parker Braun in there, you get a Barry Evans in there. That's going to open you back up to the 6K range. So I definitely don't mind that. Tournament core four, we're looking at Javon Quinterly. He is 7.1 from Memphis, high upside. Tyson Walker, 6.9. Tough matchup against Baylor, but he's got 40 fantasy point upside. Love that the prices come down a little bit. Ryan Langborg at 6.5 from Northwestern. Probably getting the boost all around the DePaul metrics here. He's going to play a lot of minutes. Going to knock down some threes for you. He does have 35 to 40 fantasy point upside. And then Bandongo from Georgia Tech, 6.8K. He's got slate smashing ability as well. The blowouts, I'll look at that game log last game. Ndongo, Langborn, Walker, Quinterly for the tournament core four. Davis, Adams, Woods, Clary, and Boswell for the cash core four. Got a couple of comments left. That tournament core four has 5.7K left per player. You lock in one of those, value guys with injury. Now you're back into the 6. A couple of more comments here. What do we got? Let's see. Favorite play. Favorite play is 60. I mean, I'm looking at Langborg. If you don't already have him in, Roddy Gale is kind of interesting. I hate the matchup for him, but if you're looking for last man in, he's a decent play. I think Jalen Bridges has a little bit of upside at 6.3 in that matchup against Michigan State. Yeah, I mean Tyrese Hunter, if you want to get weird with it in the tournament, you could go there for it. I would say Langborg if you don't have him in. Let's see. Malik Renew, think he plays. I think he does. I think he's been dealing with some back issues. I don't know if we've gotten an official update on his status for the game, but let's see. Micah Feltman's in here. A couple more questions. Any mid-range forwards or value forwards? Mid-range forwards or value forwards other than Evans? Man, we need injury news, man. We need some different. Look, if you want to go to the Purdue forwards outside of Edie, you want to go to a Kaufman-Red or a Gillis or a First, good luck spinning the wheel on something like that. It's really tough to find guys that you feel really good about, which is why we want a little bit of injury news. Otherwise, you're going to need to live in that mid-tier range for sure. Tim's got a question, Boswell or Walker? Well, Tim, it's a great question. If you are playing double-ups or smaller field tournaments, I would go with Boswell. If you're trying to take down the $2,000, I would try to shoot for the moon and go for Walker here on that. So, which is the reason why Walker's in the Core 4 tournament and the reason why Boswell's in the Cash 4 tournament. So, appreciate all the question, guys. Thanks for sticking through it with me. First time doing it. It'll get a lot better. Obviously, the guys will be back as well soon. I got to throw in a few more lineups, and hope you guys have an awesome day today. Good luck to everybody. If you're not following me already, please do that at MC Holland 34. Follow all the guys as well. Hit that like and subscribe button for us, and let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.